Hello again, this is Kevin, the lead programmer and developer of the Renko charting software suite. In this video, I'm going to kind of go through the main indicator, the one that you'll be putting on your chart. It's called Renko Fast, and it's over here underneath Custom Indicators inside of your MetaTrader 4 platform. Once you install all the software, everything should be where it is. So Renko Fast and Renko Mash are both underneath Custom Indicators, and in scripts you should have Renko Offline. And we'll go through Renko Offline and Renko Mash in a couple of future videos. But right now we're going to dive into Renko Fast and see how to utilize this in our trading. Alright, so the first thing that we do in order to attach this indicator is you simply click it and drag it onto the chart, or double click it, which will open up this box here. And it's doing one or the other is the exact same thing. It'll always bring this box up, so it might even start in common. Just make sure you click the inputs button so you can kind of go through some of the different things that actually allow you to customize this indicator as you're applying it to the chart. Okay, the first thing that you see up here is a label called Modes, and underneath that you'll see Renko Box. Now what Renko Box is if you've been through the demonstration video and how you build a Renko chart, it's all based off price action. It's based off of a series of boxes with a specific size. So by default this size is set to 20, but you can make this as big or as small as you want to. My advice to you guys is to actually go no lower than 10, because then once you get down to like 5 or 3 or even 1, it's going to mirror exactly what your price chart shows anyway, which will kind of ruin the whole aspect of it to begin with. So I'm going to go ahead and actually widen it a bit. I'm going to set it to 50. And also keep in mind, as you're attaching this, make sure you look at the time frame that you're attaching it to. So if I'm on the hour chart and I want to use a 500 box, it wouldn't make much sense, as we wouldn't be able to see what we would need to see. And I'll attach a really big box size here in a minute to show you what I mean. But for now, we're going to go ahead and leave it at 50. Up color and down color, these are only applicable if you have draw colors set to true. And what draw colors does is actually draws the colors of the boxes and not just the boxes on the chart. It's just kind of a visual tool. It helps you to kind of determine what direction you're currently headed in just at a glance without having to look too far into the indicator. And I'll show you what that looks like here in a minute. To build a Renko chart, you have to have one of two different things. Either you have to specify a box size, which in this case we're using 50, or you have it automatically select the box size using the average true range of the current candle. So what this essentially means is that by setting this to true, you're telling Renko Charting Suite to determine the box size based on the current chart. So this is always a good thing to do, and a lot of people will use this often, and that's okay. It still serves the same purpose, but for now I'm going to go ahead and leave it at false. Now if you do have this set to true, period ATR and KATR are two things that you could use. Period ATR, by setting this to 14, it uses the 14 period ATR to determine your box size. So by setting this bigger, it's going to have a much broader box size, and you can play with these values and see which one you like best, but I suggest if you're going to use ATR to leave it at 14. KATR is what I like to call a multiplier. So for example, if we set this to true, use ATR to true, and we're using a 14 period ATR to determine our box size automatically, if it's set to 1.0, then it's going to multiply the box size by 1, which will give you the same box size. So by setting it to 0.5, you're going to be displaying half of the box size. By setting it to 2.0, you're going to be displaying a box size twice the size of the ATR. So by default, it's at 1, and again, you can play with this option to see what you like best. Now here's something very cool, and this is not a normal Renko charting option. You probably won't be able to find this in any other Renko charting software, but nevertheless I've made it available to you guys. I know another method of charting that's very similar to Renko is called point and figure. And basically what point and figure is the exact same way that a Renko chart is drawn. It uses price and not time. So if you go up 50 pips, you draw another box, 50 pips another box, and so on. But what the difference between a point and figure chart and a Renko chart is that in order for a point and figure chart to go from long back to short, there is something called the reversal. So let's say, for example, I have my box set to 50. We come down here, we set this to true, and we have a reversal size of 3. That means that as our up boxes are being drawn, in order to switch and start drawing down boxes, we need to move, price-wise, we need to move this multiplier size, which is 3 times the Renko box size in order to switch directions. So essentially, as we're moving upwards and we're in an up situation, then every 50 pips it'll draw a new up box. But in order for a new set of down boxes to be drawn, you have to move 150 pips in the other direction. And what this does is it kind of helps filter out some of the false positives, the false turnarounds. You'll notice a lot of the times in a normal Renko chart, you'll have a series of up bricks. We'll say like 5 or 10 up bricks in a row. Then you might have one down brick and then another series of up bricks. And what the reversal does is simply eliminates that. So you can set the reversal to whatever you want. Setting it to 1 obviously will do nothing, as it only needs a 1 multiplier of your box size, so you'll get a normal Renko chart. But setting it to 2 means that you have to move 2 times your Renko box size in the other direction to switch to sell. And 3 is 3 times, and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this at false, but in the advanced section I'll go ahead and actually demonstrate this so you can see what it looks like. Alright, multiple box sizes. Now this is very cool, and once again this is something that's only available in the Zig Renko charting suite. What this is set to true by default, and what this will do is actually draw a little heads up display on the left hand side of your chart showing you the other. What this will do is draw a heads-up display on the left-hand side of your chart, and what that's going to do is it's going to use your start, your end, and your step to create hidden Renko charts and only display what direction they're moving. I'll go ahead and leave this at true so I can show you what I mean. So once you got everything set up how you want it, simply click the OK button, and almost immediately you'll see the Renko boxes stretched out over time applied to your current price chart. If you zoom out a little bit, you can kind of see how this works. You can kind of see how it fits. You see that this is, like this example right here, this is actually a box, and as price moves around and whipsaws, this box stays here because we don't move high enough to create another box or low enough to create another box until this point here, in which a new box is created. So if I were to actually switch this and change my line graph color to none so we can make it disappear, you can kind of see that the Zig Renko charting suite will actually plot a Renko chart, a normal Renko chart, but it's stretched out over time. So this is very useful in using your current trading systems. It'll show you exactly what your Renko chart is saying without having to open another Renko chart. So let me switch back to candles so we can see and kind of zoom in a bit. Alright, up on the top left hand side, just as I was talking about before, is the heads up display. It shows Zig Renko charts, and it actually shows, with the inputs that we gave it, it shows different Renko charts with box sizes, and it shows what direction it's currently heading. So we have a box size of 50 right now, and if 50 were displayed up here, it would show down, because the last box, or the last brick, excuse me, that was drawn was a down brick. So it just gives you direction. So by running multiple Renko charts up in the left hand corner here, we can actually see, without having to switch our chart, what the other Renko charts are doing. So box size 20 is an up brick, 40 is a down brick, 60 is a down brick, 80 is an up brick, and 100 is an up brick. So just by looking at it, you can tell that overall we're upwards, but on the mid to shorter term we're actually downwards. So it's kind of indicative of a reversal, as it were. You can actually change this by right clicking on the chart, going to indicators list, clicking on Renko Fast, and then clicking the Edit button, which brings up this familiar window where we can change the inputs. Scroll to the very bottom, and you can actually change the start, the end, and the step. So here you'll notice we got 20, 100, and 20. So it's basically saying start at box 20 and go by 20 until you reach 100. So if I were to change this to 10, change this to 200, and change this to, we'll go ahead and leave that at 20, then it's going to start at box 10, jump by 20 each time, and then stop at 200. So whenever I click OK, click close, it's going to build, and it's going to show your Renko chart, the differences up here in the corner. So once again, starting at box size 10, we have up, 30, 50, and 70 are down, 90, 110, 130, 150 are up, 170, and 190 are down. So as you can imagine, just by changing the setting and looking in the corner of your chart, it will show you a wealth of different information without having to switch between charts to determine what direction the market is heading, both on a long term and a short term. You can set this as high as you want, obviously within reason. So I can go even all the way to 500, going by 30, and it's going to display many different ones here. So we can see starting at 10 once again, and then stepping by, see, what did I have that set to? Stepping by 30 each time, so it'll go to 10, 40, 70, and so on, all the way up to 500. It'll show you all the different bricks for each one, the most current brick. So as you can see, just by a glance, we're mostly down on most all of them, except for our shorter term ones, 100, 130, and 10. But all the rest of them are down, so we know that we're in a downwards market. So this chart is kind of bland. I know it shows you a lot and does a lot, but what if you wanted to look at it and just with an even quicker glance determine what direction on the current chart we're currently heading? Simply go into your custom indicator inputs and go down to colors, and this is where the color aspect comes in. You just go to draw colors, set it to true, click OK, and then what that's going to do is it's going to draw colors based on what direction the brick is heading. So if I zoom out a little bit, you can see how this could be very useful. We actually start our down bricks here, and it stays red all the way until we start our up bricks here. And then they stay green until we start our down bricks here. So just at a glance, I can tell on the very hard right hand side of the chart what direction our bricks are heading. And the great thing about this is if you kind of look and scroll back a little bit, this is almost a system within itself. You can see here, obviously, if we were to just sell when our first red box shows up, and then hang on to it until our first green box shows up down here, we would have made quite a few pips. It's around 500 pips there, and that's quite good for any system. So that's how the Renko Fast chart indicator works. As you can see, it does a whole lot of different things for you and allows you to basically do whatever you want to do in order to utilize this in your trading. You could either use it alongside your current systems, or you can use it as a system on its own, and also you can look at a bunch of different box sizes, which is the equivalent of looking at a bunch of different time frames up on the left hand side of the chart without ever having to switch charts and without ever even having to attach more indicators. It will do all of that for you. So that's about it for the coolness factor of this indicator. In the next video, we're going to jump over to Renko Mash, which is a very, very cool indicator. Basically takes all of this information, and instead of displaying it on the left-hand side of the chart, it will plot this information for you in a histogram, making it even easier to trade off of it. It actually is one of the most powerful portions of the software suite, allowing you to build your systems and give direction based off of one indicator alone. And once again, this is something that you can only find in the Zig Renko charting suite.